Hello and welcome to Reservoir Red Dogs. I'm Matt Ford and I'm joined as always by Paul McGregor. Hello,
Hi Matt,
Paul.
you're alright, there's Alan.
Hi mate, you okay?
Yeah, I'm very good. We were told to introduce Alan quickly. And
This is take 4.
this is, that was remarkably quick. We are joined by a true Forest legend today, Alan Rogers. Alan, welcome to the show.
Hello pal, you okay?
Yeah, mate.
Really good. We're delighted to have you in. You've proved a very popular choice from us for emails and memories and tweets and things. Yeah. Lots of Forest fans have many fond memories about you. Let's start at the start then. You signed for Forest in 1997.
Yeah.
Forest had just been relegated. And you signed to replace Stuart Pearce.
Yeah.
Did that, I mean, in terms of signing for Forest, I wonder how much of a pressure that was. How much pressure was it replacing Psycho?
I think because I was only young. I mean, and obviously I was fully aware of Stu Pearce. He was one of my heroes growing up as a kid. I used to watch him and used to love the way he played. But I think because I was that young, it had a better effect for me because I knew I was replacing him. But because I was a young kid just coming in, I just wanted to play football.
It was. I mean, you were a phenomenal replacement for Pearce. You know, a man who was certainly in the hearts of Forest fans irreplaceable. You were phenomenal. Like, it was so exciting to have a proper tough left back who could play football and was hard as nails. I think it was probably one of the best replacements of a Forest player I've ever seen. And the Forest fans, I don't know if you felt that, but they took to you straight away. Yeah,
I mean, early on in the career, you know, I had a successful time at my first spell at Forest, but Stuart Pearce was different class as well, to be fair, when I first come in, because he was still here. You know, he took me under his wing and, you know, basically told me this is how you train. And, you know, he's a big presence. So he's like, you train how you play games and, you know, kind of guided me where the places to live. He was a big help when I come down to sign. You know, he was there and, you know, spoke to me and he was different class.
Wow, what a good man.
Yeah.
That's so reassuring.
Yeah.
Macca was still there at that point as well.
Yeah, he was, yeah.
So did you two go...
Not in spirit.
They're in body, but not in spirit.
I was getting heaved. I was there and thereabouts with... I was all over the shop with loan spells and stuff. So I was on my way out when Tank was on his way in. Yeah.
But did you guys knock around together at all?
A little bit.
Yeah, we did, yeah. No, quite a few of the young lads used to go out, and I mean, like Spuggy, and because I was their age group. Spuggy didn't like me first because I come in to take his place.
Really? Of course.
Yeah, he was a bit gutted. He openly says he didn't like me first, but I mean, it's not my problem, is it? I was much better than him.
Yeah, we should probably mention Spuggy's sat right through the glass over there.
Yeah. He's banging on it. He's banging on it.
He's
like
raging. Look.
He's going to get through the perimeter in a minute.
I'm trying to get you, Tank.
You won't catch him now, will he?
No, he won't.
Oh, well, we should get him in at some point. That must have been quite hard for him then, because he would have felt that he was the natural successor to Stuart Pearce, then Forest signed someone else.
Yeah.
And in terms of that rivalry...
He was the only one that did.
But would it lead to a tension between you? Would you have harsh words?
No, not really, no. As I say, I was much better than him, and Spuggy was in denial for a while. But now, listen, I've become big friends with Craig. And
you used to room with him, didn't you?
We roomed with him, yeah. I used to do quite a lot of bad things to him when he was asleep.
What's that like? What like?
You can't, this is the watershed, isn't it?
Oh, no, this is a podcast, mate.
No, listen, I used to, you know... He'd come by, he'd be getting in his bed and I'm in his bed soaking. And I'd be like, oh, what's happened? And he's like, it's you. I know it's you. And I'm like, no, it's not me.
So, in terms of the management at that time, it was Dave Bassett, who was, you know, taken over from Pearce, who player managed and Forest had got relegated. What was Bassett like as a manager?
He's different for players. Like, I'm sure Macca has a different concept of him, but I loved him. You know, he was brilliant with me because I was only a young kid who was coming in. I was still living at home when I was playing for Tranmere. So it was a big change for me, but he was absolutely brilliant. And I think sometimes, you know, because I was getting homesick and that, and he'd be great. And like, we'd play on a Saturday night, and he'd just say to me, I'll see you Tuesday, go home and have 3 or 4 days at home with the family and all of that. He was brilliant for me. I thought he was a top manager as well, if I'm being honest. You know, that season, someone sent me a couple of things, because I've just joined Facebook again. I had 10 years off it. And someone sent me a thing of one of our games when we beat Charlton at home 5-2, and you look through the team and like I think Pierre scored at hat-trick, Stoney scored, Woney scored, it was Woney's last goal. You look through that team and you think, wow, you know, if that could have stayed together.
It was a phenomenal side. Campbell and Van Hooydonk up front, like I say, Stone and Wone was still there. You'd been signed at left back, Chettle was still there, Cooper was still there. It was absolutely brilliant. And Des Little was still there. It was such a great side.
Scott Gemmell, one of the best players I played
still there. Mike, I mean, it must have been, well, as was proven by winning the league. Yeah. One of the best teams, certainly the best team out of the Premier League. Probably better, at that side would have been better than most Premier League teams at the time.
Yeah, I do. I mean, you know, we won the league quite well, and I think if we'd have if we'd have gone up and kept that team and added a little bit more quality to it, I think we'd have been a sustained Premier League team for a while.
John Fjelde.
Big John. He messaged me the other day, John, on Facebook. Way. Yeah, honestly, he did. Yeah.
So what's he up to these days?
I don't know. I blanked him and never answered him. He was boring him.
Do you keep him? Who else do you keep in touch?
I tell you who messaged me as well. Remember Swanee, Christian Edwards?
Yeah.
Because he tagged me as well the other day. He's a doctor, him.
What?
No.
He's a doctor. I was like, I've deleted him. I just blocked him. You can't come at me with a doctor. What do you do, Tank? I just mess with horses. What do you do? I'm a doctor of philosophy.
Wow.
No way.
Yeah, he is, yeah.
He's a doctor of philosophy.
Yeah, I swear.
That's right up Paul Street.
He is. Honestly. At Cardiff University. Honestly, he sent
That's
me a
right
big
up
message.
Johnny Street.
Yeah.
This is incredible.
Yeah.
That's blown my mind.
It is because Paul is properly into philosophy.
No, I'm really not. You keep saying I am. I'm not.
You told me that when you stopped playing for Forest, you buried yourself in philosophy for a month.
No, I listed a load of people that I was reading at the time, and a lot of them happen to be philosophers. But I'm not one of those people that sits in a pub and goes, "Oh, yeah, I'm into philosophy."
No, because you're not pretentious.
Yes, he is.
Listening to your ear, Mark, and I think you're in denial. You are.
Yeah, I'm that guy. Avoid me at all costs in a pub.
So we know you keep in touch with Craig. Are there any other Forest players from that generation you do still talk to?
Well, I was doing some academy coaching at Burnley, and I see Ian Wone quite regularly. I speak to Wone quite regularly. And Steve Stone just got the 23s job there. Because my lads at Burnley at the minute, under 13, so I bump into them quite a lot. And Dyche, I've not bumped into Stone yet. He only got the job last week. But I'm sure I'll catch up with him.
Do you ever have reunions with people that you played with? Do they ever do like a class of '97 get together?
No, do you know what? They probably should do, because it was a great squad, that, and the changing room was a brilliant place to be. You know, it was tough but good. The changing room, it really was.
How quickly did you adapt to it?
Quite quickly, really, because you kind of. I think what got me quickly adapted to it is on the flight home from Finland.
Oh my God! I was going to say this.
I think that got the lads to warm to me quite sharpish, really.
So this is a notorious story about a flight, a pre-season flight.
Yeah.
To Finland or from Finland?
No, we were coming home. We were coming home from the pre-season.
So you're coming home. We had an email about this.
Yeah.
Well, I'll read the email and let's see how much of this is from a guy who calls himself Ian Beale. And he says, you have to ask Alan about that infamous pre-season flight to Scandinavia, the one where he got on the tannoy system and announced, Mayday, Mayday, the plane's going down.
Yeah.
Did he ever make it out of his Swedish jail cell, or was he instantly deported back to Blighty?
Mike Kelly, that goalkeeping coach who had anger issues, he tried to get me arrested. He did have anger issues, didn't he?
Yeah.
He was like...
Although Mike, you know the infamous Portsmouth incident, when
Yes.
I got done for inciting the riot, he came down to the FA headquarters with me, and he was great with me.
So it was a good union.
He was stood out. I got stuck in the toilet booth.
Oh, I love this.
And he was stood outside saying, "You're not having him. You're not having." The police were trying to get me out and drag me out, and he was like, "You're not having him. You're not having him." So he did have anger issues, but when they're directed at somebody else on your behalf, then
see,
I'm down with it.
He might have liked you, but he mustn't have liked me, because when we landed, he was trying to get the police to arrest me. It's like...
So what happens then? You're on the flight back?
No, it's deeper than that, because we played in Lapland, and then Father Christmas kicked off, and he's rung a bell, so we couldn't kick off till Fat Ass gets off the pitch, and we're like, the whistle's gone, and Father Christmas is still on the pitch. So we went from Lapland and flew to Helsinki, and we were delayed, and then we had to fly to Amsterdam. Now I suffer with boredom, so then when we go to Amsterdam, to the East Midlands, I'm like, this is a joke, and I think we'd had a few beers. So on the flight from Amsterdam back to the East Midlands, and to this day I don't really know why I'd done it, but sat there, and I'm sat next to some big fat fella who was having no conversation with me. All the lads were sat with each other, and I don't know why, the woman done the tanner who said, ladies and gentlemen, seatbelts, all that. When she's gone, I thought, I'm going to say something. And I don't know why it come out, and I just went, I never actually said Mayday, I just went, brace, we're going down, the plane's going down. So I just put the thing back down, and I've looked down, and everyone's screaming on the plane, I've gone, probably shouldn't have done that. And I sat
Instant
back,
regret.
instant regret, and I've thought,
Oh, man.
the pilot announced on the flight, some idiot, and called a member of Nottingham Forest, who was Mickey Adams, who I speak to Mickey Adams daily, spoke to him yesterday, he had to go and say, apologise and all of that. So, but when we landed, the chairman, remember the little chairman? What was his name?
Irving Scholar.
Irving Scholar, yeah. So and Des Little was next to me, and he's like, never in my 40 years and all of this. And I didn't really think it was that serious. I just thought it was a bit of banter. I thought it was funny. And so I thought I was going to get the sack, but then I thought he just paid £2 million, so he can't sack me surely. But yeah, it's kind of. But Mike Kelly tried to get me arrested when we landed. He was like, I'm going to get the police and all of that, and I'm like.
Probably better that you're off Facebook.
Yeah.
It's probably a wise decision.
So apart from that, you settled in quickly. I mean, that probably made you quite popular with some of the other players, I
Yeah, but we had loads of shenanigans in the hotels and everything before that. Because we had Harry Bassett he went on that flight. So when we goes into training, we've got a meeting and usual lads might remember this, and I set a fire extinguisher off in the corridor, and it was like, I couldn't find my way back to my room because it wasn't a normal fire extinguisher, it was like smoke. Oh, so no. I've set it off. Do you remember that, Spug? So I've like, I don't know why I've done this tonight. I've just set it off like that down the corridor, and when I've turned back to my room, I couldn't find my room. And I just seen this big shadow coming down, and it was like a security fella. So I'm knocking on all doors, and I think it was Andy Johnson who's let me in. So we've hid in there. So when we get back, Colin Cooper had a meeting with us and just said, there's the thing incident. And I went, well, that was me. So I've gone, well, make sure I said, just say you don't know who done it, and whatever the fine is, I'll pay the fine as well. Yeah, so we're all agreed, and we took us down to where we used to get the massages. So everyone's agreed, don't say it was me. I've agreed, I'll do it, I'll pay the fine. I've fucking got no wages for the first month I was here. So when we get in the room and Ali just goes, and who's done this? Mark Cross, who straight away went, that was Tank as well, and just totally blew me up. So I got a month's wages fine for that.
That's a lot of money.
I don't know, I never got it. Yeah.
So you mentioned Andy Johnson there. He was the original Andy Johnson. He was absolutely brilliant. Ended up going to West Brom.
Yeah.
Jeff Thomas was in that side as well. It was an incredible squad that Forest had at that moment.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. And
it was a very tight league. As Sunderland and Middlesbrough ran us close that season as well. There was those great games towards the end where we beat Borough 4-0 at home.
Yeah.
I think we lost to Sunderland away, but there's the closing stage that season.
I think we drew at Sunderland. I think Sunderland beat us at home.
Is that right? I thought we lost.
I'm sure we drew with them at home. I'm sure we drew with them at home, and they beat. We drew them away, and they beat us at home. I'm sure because I think we were 1-0 up, and Kevin Phillips scored a late goal. But Sunderland never started the season well.
Yes,
but they just went an unbelievable roll, and luckily we'd already amassed enough to get us over the line.
It was the last time Forest had an open-top bus parade around Nottingham and had a civic reception in the Market Square. I remember being there with thousands of other people.
Yeah, it was great.
When you're in those civic receptions, is it all terribly formal inside, or can you get drunk and lark about?
It's terribly formal, but we all got drunk anyway. Yeah.
Was Bassett okay with that sort of stuff?
He was brilliant. He really was. I found him brilliant. He'd allow you to go out and have a drink and everything. Like in Finland pre-season, we were allowed to go out and have a drink, but he'd run you the next day and you'd get it out of you. But I loved him. I think he was absolutely brilliant. I really do. He was top draw.
Van Hooijdonk obviously was a crucial part of that side and weighed in with so many goals. His temperament was often called into question. He went on strike. What was your relationship with him like?
He was a top player, and he was one of the main reasons him and Cam's, you're only as good as your frontman. You are, and the goals they scored, they were outstanding, but it's a shame for Pierre really, because he just kind of, through all of his Forest career, he would have been so highly thought of if he just got on with the job like everyone. None of us wanted to lose the players we lost, but you can't just go and spit your dummy out and go and strike.
No.
I think he kind of knackered his own legacy up with Forest fans, because really, he should be thought of as this fantastic footballer who's
a god.
Yeah,
he could have had a Collymore-esque type
legacy. I think he could have. Yeah.
What was your relationship with him like? Because obviously you're trying to sort of replace him in some regard.
No, I wasn't.
No, not by that point.
Not by that point. No.
Would you ever talk to him?
Oh yeah. Obviously, we're all in the dressing room with him. He had the present. He was a little bit arrogant, but you want that from centre forwards. He was he was a big player, big star. So yeah, you want that from a centre forward, don't you?
Oh, absolutely you do, but it was more, I suppose, what was he like as a person with other people?
Yeah, he was sound. If we all went for a meal with the wives and stuff, he was all right.
He was a nice bloke.
He wasn't. Yeah,
So his dispute was never like with the individual players, it was just with the management of the club for not being ambitious enough.
Were you in the room when he came back?
Yeah.
Somebody sat him down, roasted him. Who was it?
Was it not Jeff Thomas?
It might have been. Yeah, I think it was.
I think it was Jeff Thomas.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't mess with Jeff, really, would you?
No.
Really?
Jeff Thomas was
Like, I'll have him. Sat him down. Everyone's. I can remember everyone raging. A lot of the older pros are raging.
It was the older pro. I mean, we
didn't care.
I was
really.
18, 19, so, you know, we're not happy, but...
It's mad that you were that young.
Yeah.
But the older boys were raging, weren't
they were. You know, they're like, because there was big personalities in that changing room. You had Coops. Coops was a big personality. You had Chet's. Saying that, Chet's was like him and Coops come as a two, really. So you had them two. But you had Stoney, who was a different personality in a different way. Woney was loud, but Jeff Thomas was a big physical fella.
Because I met Jeff Thomas a couple of times as a fan, and he always seemed like a big fella, but like quite a gentle soul.
Yeah, he's a lovely guy.
Yeah, he's a great fella. I'm good mates with Jeff. He's a top fella, but you know, you wouldn't mess about with him.
Really?
Yeah. Got them psychotic eyes.
So who were, in terms of the personalities then, like who were the wild ones in that dressing room, apart from you?
I think me and Andy Johnson, we used to do a lot of the rooms when we go away to the hotels. We used to trash all the rooms up.
That's that's rock star sort of level behaviour, isn't it?
No, I mean, the one we used to get was John Hasseldine. I remember Mad Dog. I used to love him. I'll tell you the quick story about his room. So we're playing somewhere in London, and Platty was the manager, and we're staying in this lovely London hotel. So me and John have always used to say, like, get off the bus and you go that side of Mad Dog, I'll go that side. And when he gets his key, try and distract him and want to swipe it. But Mad Dog was onto it at this stage because we've done his room about 10 times. So we've just gone like that, and I've just swiped this key, and it's got the thing, it's got like, say, room number 326, whatever. So I'm like, that to John, oh, got it. So we shoot straight up, like, forget our room, shoot straight up. We're like, how's Mad Dog got this room? It's unbelievable. Big double beds, you know, like living, like, physio can't have a suite. So anyway, we trashed it. And I mean, we trashed it because we're like, this is unacceptable. The physio's got a suite. So we've tipped the couches, through the bed, trying to throw the bed out the window, threw all of the bedding out, all of the soaps and everything through in the toilet, threw the soaps, I mean, the coffee and everything, all mixed the coffee and the milk and the tea, put it on the mattress so his mattress was knackered. So we're like, that job done. Goes to our room and David Platt rings Jono's mobile and went, can you and Tank come downstairs? So yeah, everything all right, Gaffer? He's like, no, I want you to come downstairs. So we've come downstairs like, all like, nothing's happened. You all right? And there's this big, massive fella stood there like that. What's he doing there? So Platty's just gone like that, and he just went, you know the room key you've took? We're like, we haven't took a room key. He's went, well, it's this man. He's just flew in from America. He said, and you've destroyed his room and sweet. And we're like, no, really? So this fella's like in America going, you guys are an absolute disgrace. But there was no rooms in the hotel for him. It was fully booked. So we had to pay for him to go and stay somewhere. It cost us a right few quid.
So it sounds like this was happening on a regular basis. But what would the punishment from the club be for trashing a hotel room?
He never really trashed it, you know. It was like, it was materials things. It was just material stuff, you know. You can wash bedding and that.
So what was it like going out in Nottingham during that period, sort of late 90s, early noughties as a Forest player?
It was great because we used to go where, what was it? Was it ISIS, was it?
ISIS, yeah.
You can't say that now.
Unfortunately named.
Isn't that Nutters suicide bombers, isn't it?
Yeah.
It was a Monday club, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we used to go on a Monday. It was different class there. I still speak to the fella, the baldy fella, Steve.
Yes, he's on Twitter, the old doorman.
Yeah.
He's got some great stories.
I know, I've told him to keep them.
He's got some old pictures of him, like him and Des Walker and stuff like that. He tweet them sometimes.
He used to look after us, take us straight upstairs, the VIP. He was different class, him. Brilliant. Top fella. So you were at Forest for a while, and then you left for Leicester. Yeah.
Was it hard to leave Forest at that moment?
I never wanted to leave Forest. I'd just come back. I'd had a serious knee injury. It snapped my cruciate, and I'm not the brightest where, you know, I wanted to play straight away. I was like, it's only a cruciate, and I was forcing myself back. And the physio at the time, as a young lad who probably done me more harm than good, he was pushing me because at the time I was scoring a lot of goals for Platty and creating a lot of goals. So I was trying to get back, and he's saying, yeah, you get back. And I think it was about 5 months, which Macklin, you can't play after 5 months with a cruciate. No. And I kept breaking down. So I come out, and then Harry Bassett just phoned me. Forest at that time as well, there was lads coming through, and I was a good earner at Forest, and it was kind of like Paul Hart saying, listen, we can't really afford to keep you. And And it was one of them. It was never a place I wanted to go to. You know, I had good times at Leicester, not football-wise. Didn't really enjoy my football. Although we got promoted, we got relegated from the Premier League and got promoted again the year after. But it didn't. I never. You know, it's daft to say, it wasn't Forest. Yeah. You know, I don't think you realise what you've got until you leave somewhere. It's a big club, Leicester. It's a great club. I've met some great people, great teammates. But for me personally, it's not a patch on Forest.
So we're obviously biased here, and as a Forest fan, I like to think that Forest has this special magic about it. But so many of the players we interview say that it is different to other clubs. There is a friendlier atmosphere there.
Particularly then.
Back then, I mean, it was. I mean, the dressing room of Forest, you couldn't wait to get in. You really couldn't wait to get into work.
So good to know.
You used to be like, get in at, you know, you'd be 9 o'clock, training started at 10:30, you'd be laughing and joking, and it was an amazing place to play football.
When lunch is done, you're out with the lads
You're
anyway,
out with the lads,
or there's like 3 or 4 of you going shopping or whatever, so yeah.
Going down McDonald's with a gold card?
Yeah,
that's spuggy, that.
Yeah.
There's no way you got a gold card for the reserve. Never got gold cards. Did they?
It's 20 years later.
You got to keep them on his toes, haven't you? Got to keep the lads honest.
So in terms of where were you living in Nottingham then? Or were you still commuting from?
No, I lived at. But there used to be a pub called the Goose at Gamston. Is it still there?
Yeah.
So you go down there. It was Escouse Close. It was a new estate there. Escouse Close. I was like, there you go, Escouse. And then I moved up to St James's Park, where Woney lived. I think Woney still lives there. On the way out towards Radcliffe's, Buggy's whispering there, Radcliffe. Oh, right. On the way to Radcliffe, so I lived there. Yeah, I loved it there, and we should never have left there.
So you're at Leicester, and there's this a number of people tweeted us about this, and it is a notorious incident in Forest history when you return to Forest as an opposition player, and the A block are giving you some abuse, which involves the throwing at you, unforgivable throwing of Boost bars, specifically Boost Guarana, which was a limited edition high energy bar. I mean, how did that feel?
Well, the eight. No, it was mad. Someone said to me from Leicester, he went, they're giving stuff out, and I was thinking, I know what's going to happen here. Because I was taking all the set plays at Leicester, and I was thinking, I want to get pelted. And when I went over to the A, well, they got a corner, and I'm thinking, oh, for sake. You know, you got to go and take the corner right there. You know, these lads were used to cheer me name and that, and now I've got to go and take a corner for the rivals who they hate, and they've all got free chocolate bars.
What could go wrong?
Yeah, nothing can possibly go wrong here. So, just the type of character I am, I just thought, went over and they're pelting me, and I'm laughing and everything and waving to them. And honestly, one is absolutely pinged at me, and I've just kind of got it, and I've opened it and had a bite. And just kind of ate it through and took the corner in. But now you told me they were energy because I played well there. I got a little lift.
Someone said that someone tweeted us and said they saw a steward catch one and start eating it.
Well, because there was loads getting through, and a steward was behind me in the corner, and like I've heard that story a few times. Like one was coming at me as I've got me back to take the corner. He's supposed to have caught it, cracked it open, and had a little gnaw on it.
So then, when you come back, you come back on loan in 2004 before making another permanent move. It must be so weird to play for a club, be a hero, then be demonised and have chocolate thrown at you, and then become a hero again. Yeah,
I don't think I've become a hero. You know what? I don't think I'm a hero. Full stop at Forest. I had a very good period.
Oh, you're Matt's hero.
Oh, mate,
okay.
Honestly, it was incredible. You were superb at Forest.
My first 3 years at Forest, I had a fantastic time, and I was pushing for England call-ups as well. Yeah. But when I got the cruciate injury, it knocked me for 6. It really did. And then I never was the same player then. I really wasn't. At the age of 24, I all felt that my career was kind of, it peaked. I'll never get back to them levels because I just couldn't do the things what I used to do. So when I went to Leicester, I still struggled. I had another 3 serious knee injuries at Leicester. I had microfractures and everything, which was probably worse than my cruciate because me and Darren Eade had the same injury. It's where you get a puncture in your cartilage on your thigh bone. And me and Darren Eade got the same injury, and he had to retire through it. And after that, I was like...
Was it loads of injections and that?
No, what did you do with it? What did you do with it? Because it was funny, we played West Ham, Leicester away, and it was summer's day, and it just had this torrential downpour, and Trevor Sinclair was playing wide right, and we both slipped, but as we both slipped, his studs come up and hit me there, and I thought, it was worse than a dead leg. So carried on the game, thought nothing of it, but when I got on the coach, my knee was like 3 times the size. Jesus. So I had to go for a scan, and he punctured a hole in the cartilage in my thigh bone.
Yeah.
So what you've got to do, there's no replacement for it. So you have to hit it with a pointed chisel, and if it bleeds and scabs, but then you can't touch the scab. Mine formed and kind of was tough enough to be as a cartilage, but Darren Eadie's never, and he had to retire through it.
It does make you, as a fan, you don't really appreciate how treacherous playing football is and the damage you can do to your body.
Yeah.
In terms of now, you've had coaching and managerial role since. How much exercise can you do?
Well, a bit more than you.
That's true. That's true. Most people.
No, Matt can do it. He just chooses not to.
No,
I just don't have the time at the moment.
No, yeah, you do a bit of extra, but I can't go jogging or nothing, because if I go jogging, my knees just, for the next day I'll be ballooned up to pieces. So,
but they would swell up significantly.
I've got no cartilage or nothing in my left knee, so if I go jogging or something, or when I try and train my son, or was doing a bit of coaching, I'll be on anti-inflams and all of that the next day.
Do you have the same thing, Paul?
No, clearly not.
Could you go for a run if you wanted to?
I run every other day. Yeah.
Okay, so you're fine. You don't, and nothing swells and.
No, I'm all right.
Because people talk about their knees going, don't they? It's like a cliche. Oh, his knees have gone, but I'm never really sure exactly what that means.
What, your knees are gone? It could be.
People say, yeah, but if I never really appreciated really, and it sounds stupid.
I've had 9 surgeries on my left, all on my left knee.
My God.
So it's kind of weird, and like I get up in the morning and I'm kind of clunking my knee to get, like saying, "Come on, son, liven up," and then it's all right. I mean, it's all right walking round, but I can't, like, if I go for a 20-minute jog, but then I'm in agony the next 2 or 3 hours and the next day.
Does the way that other players treat you change when you're injured?
No, not really. You're just kind of in your own little bubble especially when it's a long-term injury. You're kind of in your own little bubble.
And in terms of what you can and can't do, I mean, I suppose you should, live well and eat well and stuff like that. But I suppose when you're injured, can you sort of do what you like?
Well, this is the same as when you finish, isn't it? Because you can eat pasta for fun as a footballer, and you come out and your eating habits don't really change. I mean, if I put a plate of pasta down now, my wife goes, "Who's that for?" Yeah, I can't cook pasta normally. They're just bowls and bowls of it.
Yes, I'm the same.
I love it.
So, if you, as a player, then, because we were talking about that sort of thing, did you change anything after you stopped playing? Did you try and not eat that level of pasta?
Well, it's hard because, as you say, that's all you used to eat: chicken and pasta. You just lived on that every day. I mean, how boring is that? But when you stop playing, now I have steak and chips. No, your eating habit changes. You've got to change.
Well, that's it. Depending on what generation people played for Forest, steak and chips was the pre-match meal for Gary Bird.
Antonio's.
I meant steak pie and chips. Sorry.
That's it. Well, Antonio's is a good question. The Trattori's on the.
That's the lane,
wasn't it?
No, it's closed. It's closed or it's closing.
Well, that's sad. If it's closing, let's save it.
Yeah, that should be saved. That's quality.
Yeah, I remember reading about it in the Evening Post roughly about a year ago, so it may well have gone by now.
Because it was family run, wasn't it?
Oh, it was brilliant.
I mean, that should get them in. The stories they could tell.
Yeah, they could. It's a great idea. If anyone knows the...
used to go there, didn't we, before every away game? We used to go in there, didn't we, as well?
Yeah.
It sounds... I remember seeing the Forest squad walking from the ground to that restaurant as a kid. It was magical.
Brilliant.
So you come back in 2004. I think Kinnear was the manager when you first...
Absolute spaceman.
In what way?
He's just a Martian. He's an absolute spaceman. He's just a strange... Listen, he was a nice fella, but he was an absolute spaceman. He was just an oddball. Just a very, very strange man, him.
So it sounds like, like a show-off?
You can't be a show-off with a bison like that, can you? I mean, you can't have a mullet like that and, say, I've arrived here.
But he obviously upset a lot of Forest fans.
Tell that to David Bowie.
The way he talked about the history of the club. He got himself wound up, didn't he, while he was here, Kinnear, talking about the history and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Did he have a point, do you think?
I never really took much notice of him. He was I found him a strange man. I met him and he got me and Andy Impey and just said, "Look, I need you, come back. We're struggling a bit." I think Forest was brinking on relegation, mate, at that time when we come back. And Imps is a great lad. I was at Leicester with him, so we brought us both in. He went to right back, I went left back, and we had good times and that. But he was a very, very strange fella. Him.
So what were his team talks like? Did everyone else have this experience?
He just used to mumble and Cockney rhyme, and you're thinking, we're in trouble with him here. I just found him a weirdo.
He was then replaced by Gary Megson, who I think it's fair to say he had a difficult relationship with. There are so many stories about him from other players, and so many other stories that were doing the rounds at the time. It's fair to say he wasn't massively popular with the fans either. But he had you banned from the training ground, and on a match day, wouldn't allow you to park in the car park.
No. It's just bizarre because he tried to sign me when I went to when I left Forest. He come in for me, and I had an agent called Phil Smith, and he said, "Look, West Brom. Now West Brom were in the Championship. I think they were in the Championship. They won the league, and he said he wants you to go there. They're going to get promoted, and they did offer me a right few quid. But I spoke to a couple. I think Andy Johnson was there.
Yes, he was.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
So I spoke to Jono, and Jono just said to me, "You'll hate him." He went, "Don't come." He said, "He's an absolute." He said, "The lads hate him." So that was it. That was enough for me.
Yeah.
So then Harry was like, I said, "Right, I'll go to Leicester." So I just said to my agent, just tell him I've heard. I said, not tell him. I said to my agent, "I've heard bad things about him. I don't want to play for him." That's it. So fast forward a few years when I come back, that his first words to me in a Forest training ground, he shook my hand. He went, "I'm going to finish you here."
What?
That was his first words to me.
Oh my God.
And me being me, my response was, I said, "We'll have a career off. Let's see who can finish each other first." And you know what? Looking back now, I've done no one any good because I finished my Forest career, and it's finished him.
That is incredible. I mean, is there any, just purely playing devil's advocate, was he in a weird way trying to motivate you, or was he just being horrible?
I thought he'd motivate me. I had my own container at the academy because that was getting built. We couldn't even get changed with the lads. I had to get changed. I had to park at the academy, get changed in a hut, a container in the academy, and we'd either train there with Charlie, or we'd have to drive down and walk down the Trent and train there. But then we weren't allowed anywhere near the ground.
It's disgusting, isn't it? Even by those days, the standards. Yeah. That's dreadful.
Yeah. There's a few of us. Little Jono was there.
Yeah.
Little Jono, Paul Evans.
Yeah,
Little Evo.
Paul Evans, he was brilliant, hard as nails.
That reminds me of when Ron Atkinson came and
Spaceman won it.
Same again.
Yeah.
But he walked on, gave a massive speech to everyone, and like, "Let's see what I've got here, because I don't want any rock stars in my team," and pointed me out in front of 3 squads.
That's horrible.
It drains you, doesn't it?
All
the blood just drains from you. Like,
give
us a break, mate. Let me play for you at least.
Yeah.
So that's day one with Max.
Yeah.
From then on, were there any positives to his managerial style at all?
No. He was struggling, and then he tried to, I'm sure it was a game at Tottenham away. I think we got Tottenham in a cup away, was it? And he brought us all back, and we got a draw, or we might have got beaten in the last minute. And we all played. Jono played, Dave Johnson, I played, Paul Gerrard played. I should have scored late on, and you're thinking now, I played, not just saying, I played really well. I thought, right, back in the fold now. Comes in training next day, stopped at the car park, you've got to go to the container, and I thought, wow. They had Watford, they were playing Watford on the Saturday, and I always remember it. I'm thinking, surely to God, you've got to, we've just got a result there, you've got to go and keep this team now. You've got to keep this team. We've played well at a difficult place, and anyway, you just go back to your container, and they got stuffed by Watford the next game. I don't know whether it was home or away, but they got beat 3-0 by Watford, and you're like, you're not doing yourself any good, let alone us.
It's hard to imagine how that could have helped the team or the club. Do you think he cared about having a success at Nottingham Forest?
It's difficult because I look at it and think you can't possibly want to be a success here when you're alienating so many players. And we were all the senior players as well. It's not just like they were bits of kids where you can just go, they're not going to matter. We were senior players who could have helped them a lot.
There were so many talented players in that squad. Matthew Louis-Jean, Andy Reid, Gareth Williams, Gareth Taylor, Ian Jess was phenomenal.
Yeah, Prutz was Prutz about there.
Prutz was around at a similar time. Gregor Robertson, Marlon King sort of had a spell. It's incredible to think that so many talented players. I mean, I suppose in a way, you would have to conclude that the management with a problem.
Well, I remember training once with him, and we were doing shadow play, and they had big Gaz Taylor up front, and I was got the ball on the left side, and I weren't one of them who just smashed up to the forward. I wanted to play and get overlaps and get involved, and he just kept stopping training, just hit him, and I was like, no, because for me that's not even the Forest way anyway.
Absolutely right.
And he's like, no, you just hit him, but you look back at it now, and the man's clueless. He ends up playing big Gaz Taylor centre half.
Yeah, I remember that.
You're like. There's loads of stuff what he said and tried to send me on loan. That was a belter, that.
So what happened?
It was funny, this. Because he couldn't hand me in the end. He couldn't hand me. He brought in the this fitness guy. Now, we were all, at the changing room of Forest was like a big bond. This was before I got sent to the container. So, will you tell, you know, I'll tell the kit man, absolute legends, and George, remember George, the little old fella, the teeth fella? No, we was trying to get rid of George and everything, and we ended up paying George out of our own pocket. This is a 90-year-old man. He used to sit outside Tell's kit room, and we just shout, George, get the tea, and that was his life. He stopped it, so we ended up paying him a couple of quid. He just used to go and make the tea and run round. I had George doing everything for me because I loved the fella. He was a great fella. But he tried to stop all that, and they used to get us like fruit and, you know, cereal bars and everything. So Megson come in with this, this fella comes in, army kit on, pants, big fella, Aidan his name was, Aidy. So Megson's come in the change room and goes, right, this is Aidy. He said, everything from now on changes. And he stood there and he's on me straight away. So he's gone, none of this, there's no tea, there's no this, there's water, there's this like boost juice, not them boost bars. There's this juice, and this is how we live, we're fresh living. And he's beautiful, this fella's muscles everywhere. So I'm like, I'm taking him on straight away. So all the lads are going, you got no tea or no? Well, you know what's going on? And I went, lads, I'm on it, don't worry about it. So we used to sometimes get a sandwich down the cafe bar. Yeah. So I've got to tell when I've left training, I went, tell, in the morning, here's the money. You're getting 30 sausage, bacon and egg bams. Get them there for training in the morning. Before they come in, I've got in early, got them, and I've put one on Megson's, one on the little weasel, Alan, I can't remember his name, the assistant, and one on this Aiden's kit. So they're fuming. You come in and you've just heard, Tank, screaming at me. So I've just come in and I went, what's the matter? So we've got them and I went, I told Tal not to put egg on your butty. Well, that actually was why I got sent to the container.
Really? No way.
Honestly, yeah. But just little stuff like that, you know, it's only a bit of band. That gets the dressing room going. And,
that's funny.
But he's just like, get him out. He's got to go.
Wow. Oh, what a brilliant story. It's so good to know that, like, because as a fan, you never really know this stuff's going on. So you hear whispers through, you know, stuff gets out there. You hear that Megson's difficult to deal with or that he's lost the changing room. But in a way, I suppose, you know, usually when managers lose the changing rooms, it means that people are falling out as well. But it sounds like, despite Megson, the players were still getting on with each other.
Yeah, the players always got on with each other. The man, he was a bit of an idiot, but he continuously targeted me because I think he thought if I get him out, I'm all right. Yeah. And the camera broke, the straw broke the camera's back with him is I'd been at the container and I'd come back because I was I can't think I was picking Gaz Taylor. Me and him used to drive in, so I've come back to pick Gaz Taylor. So I'm in the lads are coming through. You know that little metal door they come through from training. They're coming through there, and Megson's at the front, and all of the lads are behind him. And he's got an audience, and I'm just putting my stuff in the boot, getting ready to go and going to get my car. And he went tank. And I'm thinking he's trying to be leery here because all of the lads were behind him. And he's gone, oh, listen, Boston's coming on loan for you. You need to go to speak to them. And I've just went, Gary. I'm not going to America, son. I just get in the car. Well, that was it then. That was the final. I get a phone call later on and just like, you're not allowed anywhere near the ground anymore.
And your nickname is a brilliant nickname. Yeah. And to have like two iconic for Tank to replace Psycho feels really appropriate. Yeah. When did you start first getting called Tank?
It was in pre-season in Finland. We were having a game and it was Dean Saunders. He was like, he'd probably played a bit and he was sat on the bench and I'd just run, there was like the ball was there and I've just steamed through two plays, got the ball and one's gone that way, one's gone that way. And that was it. Dino just shouted, Tank. And it just stuck. It just stuck since.
Such a good nickname. Because you were Macca. Did you ever have any other nicknames?
Not that I can mention on the show.
Cluffy used to call you Blondie.
Yep. That was it. Macca. Sorry to disappoint you. Macca. You could be Tank though.
I could, yeah. I'd be like a proper T-34. big old British shit. At the time, I mean, it's funny going back because I was refreshing my memory about some of those seasons, and particularly your relationship with their manager. I found an old article from the time. Megson at the time was giving interviews to the media, saying that Forest players were part of a heavy drinking culture that was damaging the club. I mean, it's so weird to be at a club and have the manager going over the heads of the players to the media and saying these sort of things. Was there a drinking culture at Forest at the time?
No. You know, we used to... There was more of a drinking culture early on when I come. Yeah. You know, there was some... But we drunk at the right times. I mean, who went to do it, when not to do it. Like, you wouldn't touch a beer. Like, if you've got a game on a Saturday, you wouldn't touch a beer. Tuesday, you'd be like, that, right, if you're having a beer then, it's Tuesday. But we used to go out on a Monday, and then that was it. But the heavy drink, I know exactly where that story come from, because that come from, I went out for a beer and a bite to eat. There was about 16 of us, and we went to the pizza place in Nottingham, and we had a few beers, and honestly, the next day he's in the paper, and you're like, wow, really?
That's incredible.
We just went for a bite to eat, and we had, 6 or 7 beers or something, and wasn't even late on where we went to the Black Orchid. It was at the time as well.
That's right.
It wasn't even we went there. Neither. We just went into Nottingham town centre, a bite to eat, and that was it. And then all of a sudden, he's got a drink culture.
It must have been so cool to be. Just trying to think of the other clubs that you were at that place, like Tranmere and Leicester. Did you have the same bond with the rest of the squad at those sort of clubs?
Tammy, I was only a kid at Tammy. I got on the team there about just turned 17, and we had a very good team at Tranmere. We were pushing players in the Championship. We had John Aldridge, Pat Nevin, Tony Thomas, some John McGreal, who all went on to get big moves. Kenny Hines. We were a very, very strong team. I played 59 games for them, so I never really had that great bond, if you know what I mean, at the time. It was just when I come to Forest, and it's like a huge club, a family club. I spent 5 years, or 5 years my first spell, and then 3. Well, take the garden leave out of it. 1 year my second spell.
Have you seen Gary Megson since?
I chased him in Liverpool in the car once. I tried to get him, and he went down the Birkenhead tunnel. I thought, I'm not going through there. You've got to pay £2 to go through the tunnel. That's the truth, that.
Hang on, define try to get him.
I used to own nightclubs and everything in Liverpool, and on a Monday morning we'd do our the banking and that, and one of the big heavies from Liverpool used to run me doors, and he used to come to the bank with me. So I'm in the car like that, and I'm just sat at lights. I've just kind of had a little glance across, and I've gone, that's him, innit?
It's like a Tarantino movie, isn't it?
That's him. So I've gone like that, trying to get him, and he's just totally, I think he half cocked on, it was me, and he's like that, and I'm beeping and giving him all kinds. So anyway, the lad who was with me in the door went, get him, let's get him. So we just kind of chased him, but he slipped down to the Birkenhead tunnel, and the lads went, don't go down there, you've got to pay £2 the other side. But yeah, I've never seen him since.
I mean, it's probably a silly question, given that the title-winning season would have been phenomenal. But what are your favourite Forest memories?
It's that season, the title-winning season. You go through the list of players, and even like the lads who were the bench and the squad. We had some team and some players. Even when we got relegated from the Premier League, I loved that season playing. I really, I enjoyed it. I was playing further up with Ron, I was scoring goals. But I know a lot of fans don't like him, but when Platty come in, I played some of my best football under Platty. I think I scored 12 or 14 goals that season, and,
That's amazing for a left-back.
I was playing higher up then, but yeah, it is. I agree with you, it's amazing.
A lot of players who played under Platt speak really highly of him as a bloke.
When he first come in, I weren't really having him, because he was not my type of manager the way he was, but he was 10 years ahead of where we're at now. Where we were then. Like, I always remember pre-season, and you'd have the heart monitors and the watches and everything, and you'd have someone with a computer, and he'd be saying stop, and you'd run in the pre-season and you're getting told to stop. Now, that was unheard of for me. You normally run until you spew up, and then you've still got to say, right, carry on. Yeah. But I was kind of not arguing, but saying, I'm not fit. I'm not used to this. But as soon as your heart rate got to a certain level, he was like, bang, stop, rest, you're finished. And I always remember playing the first game I played in pre-season, I was like, wow, I feel incredible.
Really?
I was like, wow. And you just wonder, because we've normally run and you'd be flogged and you'd be shattered. By the time you come to your first game, you've not really got the energy. But I just always remember the first pre-season game, and I'm thinking, and it totally changed after that game. I was like, I've never felt like this early on in pre-season.
I'd love to. I never went through anything like that. I missed all that.
Yeah, it was.
Because what used to drive me insane at pre-seasons, my brain would be going, why? I knew there was no science behind it.
Yeah.
Like, leg it, right, up the hill, back down, up the hill, back down.
Yeah.
It's like, go again, back, just watching you to see who's going to throw up. I was just like, why are we doing this?
But honestly, he used to do all of this. He brought a fella in. We used to do a lot of shuttles before training. Yeah. Always before training, we do, like just the shuttles.
Yeah.
And a fella used to come in and just say, right, what you're doing is wrong, and you're like, he changed my running style, and it sounds daft, but when you're on the line, your first thought, your foot goes back to go forwards.
Yeah.
Now, subconsciously, you don't really get onto that, but he's saying, put your foot forward first, and at first, you're like, can't do that. But he improved all of our speed by like hundredths of a second, just by, you know, instead of when, because if you do it, even if you do it now, I do it to me lad, and you subconsciously, when you say go, your back goes legs and you push off. But this, he just had to put your foot forward and go. And when you start getting into it, you're like, I've gone a bit quicker here.
Mike, so Platt actually was, as you say,
he was
miles
ahead.
Time.
He was miles ahead. He was miles ahead.
Who misunderstood?
Who was it that said that he was bullied a little?
DJ told us some stories saying
right,
that he didn't really have the authority. It was more. It was less that he was bullied. I think it was more that he was kind of one of the lads, and he was very friendly, and people felt they could talk to him as they would a teammate rather than him having the authority.
He was like, he used to come in and he put like the breakfast club on for us and everything, which was kind of new. He used to go in and you'd have cereal and toast and all of that, and you know, all the right fruits and juices, and that used to be on from 8 o'clock till 10, and he used to say, listen, I want you all to come in and, you know, kind of bond and have breakfast together, which was new back then. And then, you know, the food upstairs, he changed the food to all of the pastas and everything, and but it was just, for me, you know, when you look back, he was 10 years ahead of where we were at.
This is so incredible, and we've only learnt it through interviewing yourself and DJ talked about it, because the Forest fans' popular view is that Platt was useless, he's sort of very harshly thought of.
Yeah.
And people still chant stuff about him now. But actually what's emerged through talking to people who played for him, actually, obviously he didn't get the results, so that's ultimately on which he should be judged. But the behind the scenes, actually, he wasn't not trying. He was
changing. He was changing because.
How much of that culture carried on?
I think because he left and got the under-21 job. I genuinely think if he'd have stayed on, I think we'd have gone very, very close to that following season, because he brought the likes. I think he brought Jack Lester in.
That's right, yeah.
And they had me. I personally think I played my best football under Platt. I was scoring goals, creating goals. He was changing our whole culture and how we thought and how we trained and the approach to games. And I don't think you can just come in and just go, right, this is what we're going to do, so that's going to work, and get instant results. No. So I think if you'd have a look at the back end of that first season, we did start going on a steady incline. And I think if we'd have added 1 or 2 recruits the following season and he'd have stayed and not took the under-21 job, I think we'd have gone close, because we were used to his methods.
And do you think, so the players would have wanted him to stay, do you think?
The players were gutted when he left.
My word.
The players were gutted. I was gutted when he left. As I say, I kind of felt like I could, you know, I was scoring goals, I was creating goals, and I loved his training was unbelievable. His training was phenomenal. Everything was like, you know, it'd be possession based, and then everything was small-sided games. But the small-sided games were, you know, it was as if like you play in the Premier League game. The tempo was unbelievable, and he'd be joining in, and he was still the best player.
How hard is it then when you've got this manager who's trying new techniques that you all buy into, you're feeling the physical benefit of it, you're noticing improvement in the way that you play in football, but the results aren't coming in, the fans are starting to get on your back and on the manager's back? It sort of feels like a shame that at the time people didn't just say, look, this is really working, I know we're not getting the results, but...
It's difficult.
That was communicated.
It's difficult for players to come out and say, "Look, this is brilliant. You know, training's brilliant. This is brilliant. He's changing culture." And the fans would be like, "We're getting beat every week."
Yeah.
But I do think if you look back at the second half of that season, we started coming up, and
it's an incredible.
You never know.
Buggy were just saying, you know, that he's incredibly well thought of, as Tank's saying. Man City and Mancini loved him, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. Yeah. And it's like everything. You know, maybe he should have come in. I think in my opinion, he should have come in and just gone, listen, this is a long-term thing. I'm changing the whole culture, the whole mindset of the players. Yeah. This is what, and if he explained to the fans and said, this is what I'm bringing to here. Yeah. Because when I used to love sitting down with him and speaking to him at the breakfast club what he used to put on. He'd been like all over the Europe with the best teams, into Milan, AC Milan, Juventus, you know, Barcelona. He'd spent like a week at all of them getting their methods. And he was bringing that into us, and you kind of like, me personally should have gone, right, this is where we're at, this is what I'm going to bring to it. There's no quick fix to this.
Wow.
And I think he'd have got a little bit more time and better thought of.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Because we're only really learning this now, like supporters, you know, a long time after. One thing we always like to ask our guests is the sort of questions you used to get asked in football magazines and football programmes when you were playing. So, what's your favourite film?
Shawshank Redemption.
Oh, it's a brilliant film.
No, it's good, and I've never seen it.
Favourite food?
Steak.
Oh, lovely. How do you have it?
Medium.
Chips or mash with it?
Chips.
Favourite drink?
Guinness now.
Oh, Guinness now. So what was it then?
Anything.
What was your fashion style like at the time, Alan?
Incredible. I was a leader.
Yeah, it really was.
What sort of stuff?
Just tracksuits. Tracksuit and Reebok classics.
Who was your most stylish teammate?
Macker had his own unique style, didn't he?
He still gets screwed for it to this day when we tweet pictures.
Every time.
Do you have any phobias or fears?
No. I am scared of frogs. You can't trust a frog.
Why not?
Because they jump at you without telling you. So I am genuinely, because in the back, me cat used to always bring frogs, and I am like, I don't think it's a phobia, just like very wary of them slippery
We had an email here from Michael Shanahan. Do email the show, by the way, rrd1865@outlook.com, and tweet us at rrd1865. Michael says, "Hi, Guy, massive fan of the show. I love every single one, and it helps my 90-minute commute to work." That's 3 hours a day commuting on a round trip.
And listening to us as well, poor fella.
No, yeah, sorry about this, Michael. He said, anyway, I've got a story to say. 94-95, I was the proud owner of the Labatt shirt, and I had Collymore on the back. I got the shirt around February, and then he went at the end of the season. I didn't know what to do with my still-in-date shirt, so I had it replaced, as you could back then, with my name, Shanahan. It didn't look great, as the chemicals to remove Collymore never quite disappeared. Anyway, I went on a family holiday that summer to Gran Canaria with my mum, dad and 2 sisters, and wore the shirt almost every day because it made me feel like I was a Forest player. A couple of days into the holiday, I met a few friends from Liverpool. They were Man United fans. Oh, they were Liverpool, Man United fans, etc. And all these lads were asking me who Shanahan was, and I didn't want to admit that I'd had my own name put on the back of the shirt. So I said, "Are you serious? You don't know who Shanahan is? Forest have just signed him from PSV. I don't." Anyway, they all believed me, and I couldn't backtrack because I made out I'd seen him play for PSV. A couple of days later, at the end of the holiday, we were in the foyer at the hotel, and we're all swapping addresses to write to each other. Then suddenly the rep comes up to my mum and says, "Mrs. Shanahan, you left your tickets in your room." All the lads looked at me, got out, and I felt totally stupid. No one wrote to me. Sad times. Okay. I still wasn't over the fact that Stan left us. Love the show, guys. Keep it up. Michael Shanahan. That's one of the best emails I've ever had. It was brilliant. In the promotion season, you couldn't get names. Forest didn't have names on the back of the shirts in that season. So people could have like a number 3 if they were a Rodgers fan, but they couldn't have your name.
Yeah.
I suppose it was more of a problem on my side.
I didn't even realise that.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you couldn't get the numbers done in the Forest shop. They didn't do the specific font.
Mad.
Oh no, I don't know why. It's an axe, a 20-year axe. I've still got the shirt, but I never had the. I wanted Rodgers 3 on the back.
Go and get it done.
Liar.
Honestly, I did. You were my favourite player.
Oh, brilliant.
Absolutely, genuinely. I thought you were amazing.
Oh, we'll have a hug in a minute.
Would that be okay?
Yeah, that'd be fun. That, yeah.
I
mightn't get my arms around you, though.
I can't think of a better note to end on. Alan, it's been an honour to have you in here, mate.
Pal.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Cheers, lads.